Hello, my name is Michael Rowlett, and I'm the clarinet professor at the University of Mississippi. Here are some comments on Rose Etude number 24 from the 32 studies. An excerpt of this etude is the fast solo for Mississippi Lions Band, Year E. The first thing I want to draw your attention to in this etude is the tempo marking. It says Allegro moderato. I want to put an emphasis on that moderato. The Lions Band guidelines say quarter equals 92, and there's really, I think, not a lot to be gained by going a whole lot faster than that. Instead of focusing on speed, focus instead on the precision and accuracy that you play in this etude. One thing you can look at, first of all, is the quality of your staccato. Be careful that you're sustaining the air when you play a string of staccato notes like the B flats in the first measure. Be sure that's all on one breath of air and not separate breaths of air. That will mess up the quality of your staccato. Another thing that you can focus on is the way you end slurs in this etude. When you have a slur followed by staccato notes, as you do in the first measure between the A flat at the end of the slur and then the B flat staccato notes that follow, I would clip the end of that slur. I'd bring the tongue back to end that slur staccato. I make a little space there with the tongue. When I have a slur followed by another slur, as you do in the first beat of the first measure, I would tongue the start of the second slur legato. Okay, so that there's a difference in the way that you end a slur, depending on whether there's a slur after it or staccato notes after it. That really gives this etude its leggero quality. It's marked leggero, which is the Italian word for light. And if you can make some of those differences in the way you slur, it'll give a really pleasant, light quality. Another problem in this etude is some of the tricky fingerings that come in around measures 19 and 20. Those G flats, it seems at first like we might like to play them with the fourth fingering because they come right after F naturals. However, because the next note after the G flat is a C, your fourth finger has to be on the hole for that C, and it can't go from the key onto the hole. There's no real good way to do that. So this is the exception to the chromatic fingering rule. You're going to flip from index finger on the F to middle finger on the G flat. Then when you go to the C for the next note in measure 19, you're going to use the left side C so that you can play the E flat with your right pinky. The whole combination looks like this. All right. One other comment about this one. Breathing can be something of an issue, especially in the second half of the etude. I would suggest very strongly that you take all of the marked breaths in the first 4 lines of this etude. You may not feel like you need a breath when you get to measure 5, but the most important thing is that you don't wear yourself out in the first half, because when you get down to measure 17, there's really not a lot of good places to breathe before you get to the end. When you hear me play it, I change one of the marked breaths in this edition. Instead of breathing at the end of measure 24, as is marked, I'm going to breathe after the first 2 notes of measure 24. I find that breathing after that slur is just a little more comfortable for me. Either way you play measure 24, you're going to want to take that breath really fast, make it a little sniff breath, and then move on quickly. It's just a quick inhale, and then you keep on going, because there is not a lot of time to breathe there no matter what you do.